So here we are at the ASUS sort of ROG booth. There are a couple of bits and pieces that they're showing off. A lot more of the newer products is from their sort of Zen line, so it's going to be sort of smartphones and tablets and laptops, some of which look really impressive actually as well. But being, I guess, the kind of company that we are a bit more interested in the gaming-related sort of items. So we're here at the sort of ROG booth, essentially checking out some of the gaming sort of peripherals and monitors and some of their new systems as well. So let's go have a look and find out some more. So here we have ASUS's kind of a bit more kind of groundbreaking monitor, I guess. It's the PG258Q. This guy here is actually a 240 Hertz, 1 millisecond response rate, 1080p monitor. So this guy here is going to have kind of almost one of the quickest refresh rates I guess we've seen so far on the market. Most people typically kind of moving more towards sort of 144 or so hertz. That being said, you're going to need to have quite a system to actually hit that sort of 240 frames a second, making the 240 hertz playable or sort of make sense, I guess. Most of the time sort of 144 hertz or so is going to be kind of quite achievable. 240 though does require something a bit more substantial. So the system that's actually driving it here is going to be their ROG G31. This is actually the 10th anniversary edition system spec. So it's an Intel Core i7 processor, and they've managed to cram two 1080 NVIDIA GTX 1080s in SLI in this sort of quite remarkably small form factor. I know we've seen sort of smaller things from ASUS before, but this guy here, they've had to actually bring the power supply into its own sort of little side box essentially. So quite a powerhouse with all the sort of RGB lighting and all that sort of business. Very much sort of gamer oriented, and certainly powerful enough to power, I guess, games at sort of 200 frames a second essentially. Sort of powerful enough to reach that sort of 240 sort of hertz sort of region for playback. So if you're looking to pick up something like this, then make sure you've got the cash in hand to pick up two 1080s as well. It might be essential. So we've seen the ROG G31, the twin sort of SLI 1080 based GPU system, and not only does it seem to be powerful enough to essentially power games up to 240 frames a second, perfect for 240 hertz monitors essentially, but it can actually do other stuff as well. This here seems to be, in our eyes, the kind of best Twitch streaming YouTuber kind of setup that you could kind of get hold of essentially. So you've got 3 monitors here in NVIDIA Surround, with a fourth monitor on the top to kind of cover, I guess, sort of chat and to watch your stream. So if you have the money, I guess, and you're very, very avidly into Twitch streaming and YouTubing potentially, live streaming, then this could really be the ideal setup. Again, similar sort of power requirements potentially, so you would be looking at quite a powerhouse computer. So yeah, if this is the setup for you, I guess you know what to look for now. 2016 seems to be the year of the mod. A lot of companies kind of producing cases that are kind of modular or moddable, and ASUS has kind of taken that a little bit further, one step further essentially, allowing you to actually mod your motherboard, I guess, and mod kind of components that they provide, potentially sort of graphics cards and stuff as well. The processor they're actually using for this is going to be 3D printing. So I guess there are sort of bases that you can kind of work from and actually design your own add-on components. Some of them looking really, really cool actually. Going from sort of like a motherboard armor essentially, sort of bits and pieces that will attach over the top of the motherboard, to even sort of adding fan brackets to allow you to more directly control kind of the cooling of the GPUs or even the CPU itself as well. Moving on from that, of course, we do have sort of side panels and making the motherboard itself look a bit more visually appealing. What is quite interesting as well is, I guess, you could even put your name on the motherboard as well. So if you wanted to 3D print your name and jam that on the inside of your computer, then I guess you could do as well. And yeah, you'd feel a little bit maybe attached to it, I guess. So yeah, we're still here at the ASUS booth and we're checking out some of their new cases, and one of them is this. No, we're only kidding with that one. This is actually the new ASUS Avalon, ROG Avalon case. A fantastic piece of design, and some of the key features are kind of unheard of, haven't really been seen before, but we're here with Emmanuel, who's going to run us through some more of the key features essentially, and of what looks like a fantastic looking case really. So yeah, if you can take it away.
All right, so this is ROG Project Avalon, and the idea here is to build a 100% module-based computer that is really, really easy to upgrade and also almost cable-free except for the graphics card. So what we've done here is that everything is detachable, and what you have on the side here is that you have the case cooling, which is also very easy to replace. On the other side, let's see here, if we can get it away. You can have the graphics card on the other side as well, also easy to replace and remove. And on the top, let's see, you can find the processor, the cooling, and the memory, and you also have a spot for one M-SATA SSD, for example, here. And on the front, we also have a module-based easy swap SSD for 2.5-inch units. And what's cool with this one is, like I mentioned earlier, it's really free of cables. And in order to do this, we had to make a custom-made motherboard. And it looks like this. You can see it's also module based, so inside here everything is built in this kind of modules. So on the top you only see like the socket for the CPU, the memory and the mSATA. So everything else is based on the bottom, so you can have the VRM and all the components here. And these ones you can also replace, but this might be not so easy for you to do yourself. On the back of the computers you can find the different I/O units that you can switch from. This one is made for home theater, so you can see that you have the Wi-Fi, you have a lot of USB cables, and also here is actually a better version of our audio, so you have a better chipset here for audio quality. So you can replace this one and maybe you go for this one. This is the workstation, and instead you have dual LAN ports instead. So this can be customized after what kind of computer this is you're building. Basically this is a project that we're working on. So we have made this for Computex, and we are hoping to see the reactions and the feedback we get from our fans here. And if it's a positive feedback, we will hopefully do this in reality as well, or we will do. So I think it's a really cool project, and it will work both for the guys who really like to do their own things because it's very clean, and also for people who's not so used when actually upgrading their own stuff.
No, absolutely. No, we've seen a lot of kind of like modular cases, but we haven't seen anything close to this in terms of like modular, like internal components. Most kind of manufacturers are still working on a very preset, defined set of rules, essentially, with kind of the components that are available. But I can imagine even with stuff like this, like you've got these little sort of L brackets and stuff, and you can swap them around and potentially sort of build new kind of chassis to fit different kind of styles of internal layouts, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is. The creation of this motherboard is actually the key here, and on the back even the power supply is cable free, and it takes a lot of manufacturing and engineering to actually achieve that. So this is the key of actually making this cable free. You can see on the top here that like everything is so clean. There's no cables. There's one cable to the CPU, but or the CPU fan. But else than that, it's really clean. It's really easy to work with. So I'm thinking if you're buying your own new RAMs or new graphics card, it's actually quite fun just to actually replace it because it's so easy, you don't need all the hassle. So I'm hoping it's going to be really popular.
No, cool. And the only cables really to speak of are going to be just proprietary connections for graphics cards, essentially.
We can't really change that because of the graphics card I made. We're having discussions as well with NVIDIA and AMD, so maybe it's going to be done for the future, but if it looks right now, we need to have those cables.
No, cool. Fantastic project, and looks really good. Yeah, definitely. Sweet. Okay, and so moving on to mobile options, ASUS have been known for producing sort of some fantastic laptops in the past. The only issue, of course, is portability. Coming to a lightweight sort of form factor means that you do have to sacrifice, in some terms, performance. To kind of counter this, essentially, what ASUS ROG has kind of decided to do is make like a graphics card box, essentially, something that you can drop the graphics card into and connect up to your laptop for more performance. So, yeah, Emmanuel, if you can run through some more information on that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. This is the ROG XG Station 2. And this is actually one of my favorite products here because I really want to see that high-end performance that you can actually connect like an Ultrabook to this graphics card and then play all your games. We have made some upgrades. We showed this earlier this year already. We made some upgrades already, hoping to see it on the market soon. And the XG Station, basically you can connect any graphics card.
I like how that opens.
Yeah. So basically any graphics card you can install here. We have the GTX 1080 Strix that we're showing here, so it's a really powerful one. You can use, you don't have to use the reference design, you can use any third-party manufacturer as well, as we're doing here. And this one connects through Thunderbolt 3, can connect to basically should be able to connect to any computer that has that and support for eGPU, but we're also certifying it with certain models. So for example, now we are releasing the Transformer Book 3, which is a really thin tablet. Okay. So you can connect it to that, you can play Doom at pretty much any frame rates, which is pretty cool. And also on the back side here, you can also see that you have different ports for USB and stuff. So basically, you're going to be able to have this on your desk and connect everything to this. So it's going to be the docking station, but also with a lot of different connections. Another good thing with this is that it should also work without an external monitor. You can use it with external monitor, but you can also go take the picture and get it back to your monitor. You will have slightly more performance loss, but it's not that much. But it's a good thing for LAN parties maybe. You just take your laptop and the station with you and you can play all your games.
Absolutely, so you don't need to worry about carrying around sort of like another monitor essentially to have this work all together. Yeah, exactly. That sort of functionality is integrated. I mean, it's already there in the laptop, so you don't need to bother with kind of bringing around the monitor as well, which is really cool. Oh, fantastic. And the sort of all the I/O and stuff you were saying is all at the back, so yeah, it's like a dock essentially for your laptop. You can connect up keyboard and mouse and just have it sit there, and then you just bring the laptop in and sort of attach it, and it's all good to go essentially.
Exactly.
So RGB being the incredibly popular thing that it is in this kind of time of day, you do see a lot of manufacturers kind of integrating it into components. ASUS and ROG have seemed to have gone one step further, essentially bringing their Aura lighting system to all of their peripherals, monitors, even sort of ROG certified cases, essentially, to have it all kind of connect up together. So yeah, if you could sort of tell us what the sort of, I guess, the ethos behind that and sort of the plan is for that with the future, essentially, as it goes.
Yeah, basically one of the cool things with ASUS is that we actually do sell products in each like product line of a gaming computer. So we're thinking one way to utilize this is that since we have a RGB lighting for basically as a possibility for every product right now, you could actually sync those so it goes together. So the system that we're showing here, we have the mouse, keyboard, and all the components, actually motherboard, graphics card in the computer, which is actually synchronized to the same kind of RGB theme, so it will look really, really cool in your home.
No, perfect. So it's sort of like one little ecosystem that kind of encompasses all of the aesthetic, essentially, of like your mouse, keyboard, the peripherals, and the computer as well. No, certainly the cleanest solution I've seen, as I mentioned before, sort of some options seem to be kind of a bit cluttered and lots of different pieces of software to control everything. But at least with this, I guess you've got one piece of software which allows you to kind of coordinate everything all together, which is a much neater solution, essentially. No, well, thank you very much, Emmanuel, for showing us around, and yeah, really appreciate your time.
Yeah,
cheers, buddy. Thank you. So on to motherboards now, and ASUS ROG have brought some quite interesting new features to the table with one of their new Rampage V Edition 10 motherboards. Just a few things to go over. It's got the Aura lighting system, which of course has headers on the board, so you can connect up additional sort of LED strips, and it'll all work in tandem with their sort of Aura lighting setup, which we'll go through a little bit later. Alongside that, some cool little bits and pieces. The I/O shield has now been integrated into the back of the motherboard, so there's no worry about building your whole system and forgetting to install the I/O shield. We've all been there, and then you have to take the whole thing apart to get that one kind of key component in there. Equally, losing it, as they only generally tend to come with that motherboard, finding a replacement is always very difficult. Similar sort of trend essentially being seen in sort of PCIe brackets and lanes as well. You'll notice that the PCIe lane is actually shielded, and this is across the board essentially on the major kind of x16 slots, effectively where you're going to be plugging in your graphics card. This actually allows better sort of adherence to the board and prevents against any damage of the graphics card moving potentially during transit, or if you're kind of shifting components around inside the computer case. Another really nice touch that goes hand in hand with the Aura lighting is the ability to actually switch between slots. So you can kind of pick out specifically which slots are going to be populated with graphics cards, and only those LEDs are going to be lit up, which is a really nice kind of feature there. But it means that when you're not populating those slots, it's not making it evident that you're missing out on a graphics card or you don't have a 4-way SLI system. You can just kind of turn it off, and then it looks like it's intentional. There are only supposed to be 2 graphics cards in there. So really cool little features of this board. Looks really aggressive, and all the Aura lighting system allows you to kind of personalize it again to your taste. So really nice option.